Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pomeroy Art Academy. I'm your instructor, John Pomeroy, and what I'm going to talk to you today is about size consistency. How do I keep a consistent level or size of my character throughout all of the drawings in a scene that I'm animating? Sometimes it's difficult, especially if the character is moving towards the camera and back out again, or from side to side. What can you do to keep that size consistent and on model? So let me show you a few tricks. I'm going to use a character. One of the things also that's important is usually you should get a model sheet. And a model sheet will give you a size that you can work with. Usually the creator or the designer of the character will design it so that you can see that your character is so many heads tall. So I'm going to once again take my character Tig, who's our mascot, and I'm going to say, okay, there's his head. And if I extend his head, what is his height? I'm going to say 2.5 heads tall. And from the crotch line down is 1/2 a head. From the crotch line past his torso up to his neck is another head. So right there, that gives me an idea on his proportions that I can maintain throughout the entire scene. Neck right there, his little teardrop body, his legs, and his arms. Feet extending from his little tapering legs, his belly, the edge of his rolled little turtleneck that he wears. So I know those proportions. 2.5 heads tall. And if you have that underneath your drawing at all time, that will continue to remind you how to maintain that proportion. Now, if you're doing a scene, let me place, let me say that Tig is, we have a ground plane there, and then we have our perspective foreshortening with a vanishing point there. There's my ground plane right there. What if he is walking That's going to be my headline right there. So I'm going to wind up, say that is him right there. 2.5 heads tall. And he starts out right here. There's position A. There's position B. Once again, 2.5 heads tall. So he'll start out there, and he will end here. And all during that action, I am making sure that he never expands or grows more than 2.5 heads tall. I've got a ratio here, from here to here, that I've maintained. What I would do is, if he were walking in this direction, towards 3/4 into camera, I would do an intermediate drawing in between these two that would make sure that I was always in proportion. Because with each step, he's going to get a little bit bigger. And that keeps me from getting too big too fast. There's his little body, there's his arms, there's his legs. So you could see the step by step, the gradual progression of his size. And yet with each step, and you want to maintain, you have these at the bottom of your drawings always, with each step, he gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, so he doesn't overshoot too quickly, and all of a sudden, halfway through the walk, he grows huge, and then maintains that for the next couple of steps coming into the camera. Making this kind of chart for yourself, this kind of diagram, will really help you maintain the size of your character coming into camera or going away from us, from camera away from us. In either case, a chart like this is what would really help. So find out your proportions of the character, do a diagram like that, do 3 or 4 positions to place your character so that that in equal proportions it gets larger and larger with each step or stride or with each increment that he comes closer to the camera. Also, a good way to maintain your volumes while you're in the middle of an acting scene that takes place in one area where you're not coming into the camera, but you're just maintaining that, is you've got your pose number 1. Say this is your pose number 1. And then create your final pose, which may pose 95. You create pose 95. And then you'll create your intermediate pose, which be pose 45. Alternately flip between those drawings and the new drawings that you're creating to make sure that you can eyeball the consistent shapes and proportions of your characters. This was a little trick that one of my Disney mentors, Frank Thomas, passed on to me. I mean, he could be into a 30-foot scene, but he'll always be flipping. He could be on drawing 360, but will always be retro flipping back to drawing 1 to keep his proportions solid, because he doesn't want the character to drift or to grow too quickly and then expand or contract and do some strange, deformity on screen, that it would always maintain the same proportions and the same model throughout. So if you alternately flip to your base drawing underneath all of your working drawings, say that's drawing 1, that'll help you keep your proportions, and it'll train your eye to always look for the areas that will maintain that size. So anyway, things to try and practice. They don't come overnight, by the way. As always, I say it's a patient process. But just try to start using that method to keep your size and your consistency for your model.